The focus of this video is Avraham and his relationship to Issac. When did Avram become Avraham? This was to give him Issac. And he had a name change. Always remember this, that the only patriarch that didn't have a name change was Issac. And another interesting thing about Issac was that he's the only one that never left Eretz Yisrael. But for this purpose, because the day I'm actually doing this is Pesach Sheni, and the whole idea of Passover in general and saying the Haggadah in general, is the relationship between Avraham and Issac. In the Haggadah, Avraham is the master of the Seder, and Issac represents the 4 sons. One of the reasons why Issac represents the 4 sons is that the gematria of the name Issac is 208. 208 just happens to be 4 times Ben, 52, which means son. So he represents the 4 sons at the Seder. And Avraham is the master of the Seder, the leader of the Seder. It just so happens that the Seder commences with the Aramaic part, Ha, Lachma, Anya. The first word of the entire Seder, which is in Aramaic, is the word Ha. And what the word Ha is Hey Aleph. This just so happens to be the letter Hey itself. What the Arizal did was to change the spelling of the word Ha into Hey with a zere, 2 dots under the Hey, and that gave it a full gematria of 26, which was Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Anyway, if we look at this word as the letter Hey, we have the entire reason that Avraham is the master of the Seder, because the master of the Seder was the one that received this letter Hey itself, the letter Hey, into his name that created the beginning of the Jewish people, and gave him the koach, the atzmutz, the essence, the whatever it is to have Yitzhak. Because remember, he had Yishmael with the name Avram, but he had Yitzhak with the name Avraham. And so this Hey is to remind us of that. And the full spelling of the letter Hey is Hey Aleph. And the Hey is in a full spelling is 6, and then a full spelling of the din here of the Aleph is 111. So the total spelling is 117, which just so happens to be the number of verses in Shir Hasharim. And this is a great secret here, that there's a great parallel between Shir Hasharim and the Haggadah of Pesach. And the stories are actually coinciding. And the underlying essence is coinciding. And it comes from a strange occurrence. The strange occurrence is that Issac was born with a feminine soul, and only transformed that soul at the Akedah, at the binding. And so here we have a very deep, deep issue where his feminine soul left him at the binding, and a masculine soul then comes in. So we have this strange relationship at the binding of Isaac, of a 37-year-old man, which was what the age of Isaac was when he went to the Akedah, of a 37-year-old man with all his faculties and facilities, going out and permitting himself to be bound. One of the reasons is there's a very strange relationship between Avraham and Yitzhak, in that he has the child has a feminine soul. So in a certain sense, is this a potential marital union? Can a father marry his child? Wouldn't seem so strange if it was a daughter. Can he marry his daughter? We have this today in a very weird way with the President of the United States and his relationship to his daughter, and the comments that he's made previous to the election about his relationship to the daughter and the daughter's desirability to him. What does this mean in a psychoanalytical sense also? It is strange also, now that we think of it, that daughter is a convert and has a Jewish soul. The idea of this entire episode is to show the relationship to how the soul changed, how Isaac's soul changed, became a masculine soul after that. After the Akedah, after the substitution of the ram for him. And then another interesting aspect of this is immediately upon hearing this, the mother dies. Sarah dies. So this entire thing has to be looked at with the change of the soul. And what does this actually mean in the relationships that are discussed in Tractate Yevamos, and in general, these permitted or not permitted relationships. Question is, can the father marry the son? Strange comment. What happens if that son has a feminine soul? The entire soul came down with the letter Hey. On the strength of the Yehida aspect of Issac. And so we have here a very interesting thing that's never really been talked about. This is all manifested at the Akedah and at the Passover Seder. And the relationship between the master of the Seder and the four sons. It's beautiful. And I just want to throw this out. This is my deepest concept. And reminisce a little bit. Why shouldn't you be exposed to the deepest concepts? Are they secret? What could be more secret than life itself? What could be more secret than the obvious? The birds singing, the rain falling, the trees growing, fresh air. These deepest secrets. What could be more secret than the great secret of the first and only commandment of Priya Viridya? What could be more secret than the inner essence of the self and the manifestations of sexuality within life? What could be more secret and more beautiful than the obvious? To quote a book title of someone, the elusive obvious. In looking for the depths, we lose the surface. The surface is the depths. In a coincidentia opporturum, coincidence of opposites. That's what happens when you try to speak Latin instead of pig Latin. And so here we are, as I'm doing this on Pesach Sheni. And I reveal this on Pesach Sheni, because all of us are on a far journey and are not really obligated for Pesach. If you are on a far journey, you're only obligated for Pesach Sheni to eat matzah within impurity. Eat the purity of the self within impurity, within the world itself. That's the secret of Pesach. The secret of the Haggadah. The secret of Pesach is Pesach Sheni. I know it's called a second chance for a first chance. I like that. A second chance for a first chance. There is no second chance. You only have one chance. And that's the chance that you take. So Avraham, at the Akedah, the binding, psychosexual relationships with his son, the psychosexual relationships with the concept of binding itself. Those are the real concepts that are looked at here in Pesach, the Haggadah, the Akedah, and obviously I'm scratching on